Imagine a world where a single machine could pull water from deep mines, power giant factories, and one day move people faster than any horse could dream of. That machine existed, and when it began to spread, it did not just change one industry. It changed the entire world. But here is the strange part. The first steam engines were not built to run trains, cars, or ships. They were built to solve a much more practical problem. So how did a machine made for pumping water become the force that helped launch the modern age? That is the story of the steam engine. And to understand why it mattered so much, you have to picture the world before it arrived. For most of human history, power came from muscle, wind, water, and animals. If you wanted to move heavy goods, you used carts, canals, and sails. If you wanted to make something in a workshop, you relied on hand tools. If a mine filled with water, workers had to remove it by hand or with simple pumps. Progress was slow, limited, and exhausting. Then came a problem that desperate people could not ignore. In the coal mines of Britain, water kept flooding the shafts. The deeper miners went, the more water they found. And coal mattered because coal fed the fires of a growing industrial society. More coal meant more heat, more metal, more production. But getting it out of the ground was becoming harder and harder. Something had to change. Early attempts came first. In the 1600s, inventors began experimenting with machines that used steam pressure to do work. One of the earliest practical engines was built by Thomas Newcomen in the early 1700s. It was not elegant. It was huge, slow, and used a lot of fuel. But it worked. And that mattered more than perfection. Newcomen's engine pumped water out of mines by using steam to create a vacuum, which pushed a piston down. Suddenly, mines that had seemed hopeless could keep operating. But the story does not become world-changing until James Watt enters it. Watt did not invent the steam engine from nothing. That is a common myth. His genius was improving it. He recognized that the Newcomen engine wasted too much energy by cooling and reheating the same cylinder over and over again. So he introduced a separate condenser, a brilliant change that made the engine far more efficient. That one improvement turned steam power from a useful tool into something revolutionary. And once steam became efficient, everything started to move faster. Factories no longer had to sit beside rivers just to use water power. That was a huge shift. Now machines could be built wherever coal, workers, and raw materials were available. Textile mills grew. Ironworks expanded. Production increased on a scale that had never been seen before. This was the Industrial Revolution, and steam was at its heart. But the engine's greatest power was not just inside factories. It was in motion. At first, people looked at steam and asked a simple question. Could it move things? Could it do more than pump water and spin factory machines? The answer came in stages. Steam engines began to power boats, then locomotives, then entire transport systems. Steamships cut across rivers and oceans with a reliability that wind could never match. Trains followed, and suddenly distance began to shrink. Travel that once took days or weeks became much faster. Goods could reach markets sooner. People could move farther. Cities grew. Trade exploded. But this transformation was not smooth or instant. Early steam travel came with danger, noise, smoke, and fear. Boilers could fail. Engines could break. Some people doubted steam would ever be safe or practical. Others saw it as frightening. Yet the machines kept improving. Engineers refined the design. Railways expanded. In time, steam became a symbol of power, speed, and modern life. So what made the steam engine so important? The answer is bigger than the machine itself. It changed the relationship between people and energy. Before steam, human life was tied closely to nature's limits. Wind had to blow. Water had to flow. Animals had to rest. Steam broke that pattern. For the first time, society had a flexible source of mechanical power that could be placed where people needed it. That freedom changed where factories were built, how goods were produced, and how nations competed. It also changed the balance of the world. Countries with coal, industry, and steam-powered transport gained enormous advantages. Military supply lines improved, navies modernized, empires expanded faster than before. The steam engine did not just help build wealth, it helped reshape power itself. And here is the biggest revelation. The steam engine's true importance was not only that it worked, but that it made industrial thinking possible. Once people saw that heat could be turned into motion on a large scale, they began to imagine machines doing more and more of the work humans had always done. The steam engine became a model for modern technology. It showed that nature's forces could be controlled, converted, and put to use. That idea never left. It led to new engines, new factories, new transport, and eventually to the machines that define the modern world. Even today, the principle remains alive in power plants and turbines. The old steam engine may be gone from daily life, but its influence is everywhere. So when we talk about the steam engine, we are not just talking about an old machine with a piston and boiler. We are talking about the moment humanity learned how to turn heat into progress. A machine built to drain water from mines ended up draining the old world of its limits. And once that happened, nothing was ever the same again.